Communities in areas worst affected by the unrest in KwaZulu-Natal say they're fast running out of daily essentials, from petrol, bread and milk to chronic medication. Let's cross now to our SABC News reporter Ayanda Mhlongo, who's monitoring the situation for us in Durban. Thank you very much for joining us, Ayanda. A very bleak picture indeed. How are people coping?
A very good afternoon to you, Nompo, and good afternoon to our viewers at home. Certainly a very, very bleak picture, Nompo. From the early hours of this morning, hundreds of people queuing outside stores in the city of Durban. You'd know that, of course, over the past couple of days, due to the protests and the riots and violence across the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and more specifically here in the Durban CBD, many stores are those that were, of course, looted and completely destroyed by these looting mobs, obviously closed. But then there are those stores that were safe, however, closing their doors due to safety concerns. So as a few more stores opened here today, from early hours of this morning, around 5 o'clock, people had already started to queue outside the stores for essentials. Speaking to some of the residents at those queues in the early morning, telling us that they are really feeling upset, anxious, uncertain about what is going to happen to them, not only about their safety, but also critically about the shortage now of food. In the stores, only few customers being allowed to take only certain items. Stores saying that customers are only able to take 20 items per customer, especially the essential items are only limited to a certain number of supply. And so on average, one family was telling us that on average they have about 6 family members, and you then notice from that 20 items, Nompo, was simply not enough for them. So dire situation as well. The other issue, Nompo, is the fact that supply is running short. The stores cannot get additional supplies due to the fact that trucking companies are afraid to get their trucks onto the road, and not only for the safety of their staff, but also for the goods that they'll be transporting. And so the stores that did have a supply of food are fast running out themselves. But basics like milk and bread cannot be found across the Durban CBD. So really a struggle for residents, Nompu, who have been moving from shop to shop due to those queues to try and get to these essentials. The other problem, Nompu, is the fact that the trading hours of the stores are only trading for a few hours, where a store would have traded from 8 o'clock in the morning to possibly 6 in the afternoon, or 8 o'clock. They only open just for 4 to 3 hours. Another problem as well is the transport. Currently, public transport is not operating. There are no taxis, no buses and no trains, and so a lot of people who would want to access these shops, because they don't have public transport, they cannot get to the stores. So certainly a difficult situation for residents, and many of them saying that it's unfair to them because they were not part of this looting and they were not part of this destruction, and now they're the ones that are suffering. Medical supplies as well. People aren't able to access hospitals. They aren't able to get to pharmacies. In fact, where we are, Nompu, at the moment is at a psychiatric hospital in the area of Bogotweni, south of Durban. And what has happened here is that a mob came into this hospital and completely destroyed one of the administration units. They've taken computers, fridges, TVs, and a lot of other stuff as well. Staff here are petrified, telling the MEC of Health, who was here, that even coming to work was hard enough for them. They were being threatened by people to not get to work, and now that they are at work, these mobs then coming through here and attacking them. So a really critical situation here, Nompo, which is now having a huge impact on the healthcare sector.
Absolutely. Ayanda, just in terms of the soldiers on the ground, from your movings up and down in the area, have you seen more presence? We do know that some 25,000 soldiers are set to come on the ground once it's been formally approved. But in the interim, have you seen more presence? And would you say that things are a bit calmer relative to what we were seeing even yesterday?
Not many soldiers. In fact, in the areas that we've been traveling through, Nampu, since this morning, I did not see any soldiers. I do understand that would have probably have been deployed to areas which are more volatile, like Phoenix, where the Minister of Police is visiting currently. We know the violence that took place yesterday, and of course that is one of the hot spots at the moment. So we'd understand that the military have been deployed to those areas. But around the Durban CBD and the suburbs that we've been traveling through from this morning, we have not seen any members of the South African Defence Force, and that's what a lot of people on the ground are asking for. They're saying that the police are simply outnumbered, the police are exhausted, and they now need the assistance of the South African National Defence Force. In fact, many even urging, Nompo, that they are the ones that can assist to bring in, to escort the petrol tankers and trucks to the service stations which are running out of petrol. They may be able to also escort the trucks which will be bringing food to the stores. So there is a call for additional deployments, but certainly from the areas where we have been, we have not seen them. Members of the public still standing guard, protecting those stores that have not yet been vandalized. Must say we did see more SAPS members today patrolling and guarding service stations and also some of the stores that we visited earlier on.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ayanda, for your report. As always, Ayanda Mhlongo reporting for us in KZN there.